Hi there, friends and neighbors. I'm Mike Troe, and today we're going to begin a journey in today's headlines and topics that hopefully will make you stop and think. Now, notice, I'm not saying change your mind. You could be right, and I could be wrong. But if I can get you to stop and think, I've got you. I number among my friends people who follow Bernie Sanders and those who strongly believe that Donald Trump is the savior of America. Now, this show is for both of those groups and every group in between. Now, let me say right up front, I will never, ever, ever, under any circumstance, support either one of these gentlemen. Not because they're mean, rotten, nasty people, but because I believe that their core beliefs are wrong for America. Sanders talks about fairness, and that's certainly appealing. Everybody wants to be treated fairly. Everybody wants fairness. And Trump's discussion about a strong America and a good, properly ran government is very, very enticing. Yet, to me, they are not the answer for America. While I oppose them, I refuse to stoop to the level of some of their supporters by attacking them personally. I will combat them with history and with common sense. That's not hatred. I will mention the fact that a lot of what Bernie Sanders is trying to implement in America has been implemented in Venezuela for the last 10 or 15 years. Those policies are now being rejected by the Venezuelan people in free and open elections. No, folks, hatred only hardens the support. I was in a discussion one time with a young man about OBAMACARE. And I stunned him, not by saying that Obamacare is socialistic, not by saying that it will not solve the health care problems of America, which, by the way, it is, and it won't. But I stunned him simply by saying the American people need to relearn the lessons that our founders of this nation had learned. They aren't being taught in history class, unless, of course, it's my history class. But many of the things these people say today are not well thought of. Now, my friends are compassionate, loving people, okay, who want to make the nation better. The lesson of why, though, needs to be relearned. The people of Venezuela are tired of bartering chickens for diapers. Now, I've been known from time to time to ask questions that people really don't want to answer. Like, if your car breaks down, will you take it to a librarian? Well, people stare at me like I got a third eye right in the middle of my forehead. But that's all right. Or will you take it to a mechanic? Now, hey, the librarian may know cars top to bottom, be able to figure it out, be able to fix it. But when it comes to something like education, who's the first people that we ask? We ask politicians. We don't ask professional educators. Well, thus is my life. You know, politicians are always the first ones to be asked, you know, how to solve this problem. But like I said, such is the life I live in. Here at the Weatherman, my goal is to be like a meteorologist, to inform you of what is coming. Now, a meteorologist may say, here cometh a tornado. Okay? But it's still up to you to take appropriate action. Now, appropriate action for my wife, my sons, my two oldest grandsons. Nick's only about 14 months old. He would stay in with mommy. But theirs is to run out in the front yard. Look, look, look. And he'd come back all angry because there's no tornado. My daughter, on the other hand, she hates tornadoes, always has. She grabbed the kids, down in the basement she goes. Okay? But that's what I'm up to here. I can only give you the information that's out there. It's up to you then to decide if you really want to run with it or not. Are you ready? As Jackie Gleason used to say, and away we go. Okay? I'm back. First thing I'm going to deal with is the hostage crisis. Now, there seems to be two very loud opinions on this subject. The Democrats seem to say that America has always accepted refugees. These are people that are running away from oppression and bloodshed. Why close the gates now? Or for you extremists out there, why the Indians let your family in? Okay. Not mine. Mine came in after the Indians were taken care of. The Republicans, on the other hand, seem to say, we don't want another Paris. We need to know who is coming into this country. Who are they? We need to know this. Okay. We've heard these arguments over and over and over and over. Ad nauseum, it's making me nauseous. Now, both sides have some truth in them, like what most generally happens. But also, both sides leave things out. Okay? Let's go here to the Libertarian Party platform of November 2014. Okay, political freedom and escape from tyranny demand that individuals not be unreasonably constrained by government in the crossing of political boundaries. Economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across the national borders. However, there's always a but in there, isn't there? However, we support control over the entry into our country of foreign nationals who pose a credible threat to security, health, or property. Okay, now that's what the Libertarian Party platform says. Now, the Department of State says that the United States considers for admission as refugees persons of special humanitarian concern who can establish persecution or a well-founded fear of persecution in their home country on account of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. The legal basis of the Refugee Admissions Program is the Refugee Act of 1980, which embodies the American tradition of granting refuge to diverse groups suffering or fearing persecution. The Act adopted the definition of refugee contained in the 1951 UN Convention relating to the status of refugees and its 1967 protocol. Okay? The 1980 Refugee Act says it is providing assistance. Under the section, the director shall make available sufficient funds for employment training and placement in order to achieve self-sufficiency as soon as possible. Provide refugees with opportunity to acquire sufficient English proficiency to enable resettlement as soon as possible. All right. Now, I've thrown out an awful lot of stuff there. Let's do some digesting. First of all, let's begin by saying, okay, not all Muslims are bad. I get it, I get it, you get it. I get it, okay? I absolutely get it. I got friends who are Muslims. I know the type of people they are. But every time somebody goes running through a mall, shooting people, throwing bombs, yelling, Allah Akbar, I have to hear that Muslims are good people. I get it. You're the one that keeps saying it, obviously. You don't get it. You have to keep convincing yourself. Okay. Now, let's go to the 1967 UN Treaty and Protocol, which defines what a refugee is. And you can see it here, a person who has a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group or political opinion, is outside of their country, or is unwilling/unable to be protected in their home country. Okay? Now, or has no nation to return to and is unwilling or unable to return to his nation of residence because of a fear. Okay? They are afraid to return. Let me ask you a question. Okay? If a person shows up at your door and asks to use the restroom, are they really wanting to use the restroom? Or are they really there to steal that priceless artifact on the table next to the restroom? And do you have the right to ask before you let them in? Or do you just follow them around to make sure that they do, in fact, go to the bathroom and don't, kick the puppy or whatever else, okay? Let me explain it like this, okay? Are you, like me, a Star Trek fan? Well, in one of the plethora of books about Star Trek is a lesson on leadership. It's Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock. Everybody wants to go have a good weekend, right? Those of us who've been in college, we kind of know the drill here, okay? Well, it comes up and they're told, you have a lesson this weekend, folks. What it is there's an assassin out here that's trying to kill you, okay? Now, nobody knows who they are. Your lesson, to get a good grade here, to win, is to be alive at 8 o'clock Monday morning. Have a good weekend. See ya. Okay? This is a test of leadership. Now, Chekhov, in Chekhov, everybody winds up dead. But with Captain James Tiberius Kirk, he organizes a party. Picks out some friends that he's pretty sure aren't the assassins, makes them the guards. They watch all the doorways, okay? People can come, they can go as they wish. There's as many guards around as there are people sitting there, new people that they don't know about. And everybody has a great time. Monday morning comes, everybody is still alive, everybody wins. This is leadership, according to James T. Kirk. This question of refugees is a question of leadership for the United States. How are we going to respond? Okay? The statement from the State Department would have us believe that every individual that comes in is talked to by the State Department, what they call vetted. Okay? Everyone is vetted. We know why they're here. We know why they're coming, what they're doing, where they're coming from, and the whole bit. That's what they would have us believe. But folks, just because we haven't declared war does not mean that those people won't come here to harm us. Remember those 2 shooters out in San Bernardino, California? They were vetted by the State Department, and yet people are dead. A former co-teacher of mine and her sister goes to plays in New York City all the time. We're walking through Times Square one time, 7 o'clock in the evening, time when the bomb should have went boom. But hey, the bomber was incompetent. He set it for 7 a.m., not 7 p.m. That's the only reason why possibly she's still around, you know, depending upon where she was. Do you know what a 5th columnist is? A 5th columnist is someone who goes into a nation and prepares it to be invaded. Did you, by any chance, hear about the 2 Middle Eastern men who were seen taking photographs of the infrastructure and police stations and everything else? Did you see that? Okay. Next off, let's now go to FBI Director James Comey. Okay? Now, the FBI Director, in a recent Homeland Security House Committee meeting, stated that there is no way that the U.S. government can properly vet 10,000 refugees coming into this country as the Obama administration wants them to do. It can't happen. We cannot properly vet these people. Even though the Obama administration says that they want to let them in. Okay, going to make an introduction here, folks. And this is an introduction that is not often made in politics. Okay? Policy, this is reality. Reality meet policy. Okay? Now, the reality of the fact is, folks, that we have no way of vetting a large group of refugees, nor can we properly care for them. Okay? Remember, and as an example, let me ask you, you remember all those 12 and 14-year-olds from Central America that we had to let in because of everything that was going on down there? We like to think that they found homes up here in America. A lot of them have. But still, a lot of them are in refugee camps. The American method of handling refugees seems to be come, 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 come. And then we figure out what to do with them. We put them in a barbed wire enclosed fence without appropriate health care, without appropriate sanitation, or security in any way to properly care for them. Okay? Let me ask you this. You're having a dinner party a couple of weeks from now. Are you going to wait till everybody shows up and then say, what are we going to have for supper? Wait a minute. You came in from Houston, Texas, so you're going to have to stay somewhere. What are we going to do for sleeping arrangements? Would you do that? I bet not. I bet you would have everything figured out. Then, and only then, would you send out the invitations. Okay? Reports from these refugee camps, we already have not at all what we should be accepting. People needing health care don't receive it for months. The New York Times article, Shame of America, Will S. Hilton, February 5th of last year, clearly discusses the atmosphere and conditions in these camps. Look, folks, I'm not saying no to refugees by any stretch of the imagination. Okay? I'm not saying no at all. But what are we to do here? Here. Let's make these places appealing. The refugees come from horrible conditions. They are oppressed, they are mistreated, lack of sanitation, the whole bit. The last thing we want to do is send them back into the same type of thing. And since the government practices teaches us that they cannot or will not properly handle these things, we need to find people, organizations that will take care of them. And who are they? Well, how about these? This is a short list. And now the problem with a short list is you always leave people out. And so don't think this is the only groups. There are a lot of groups out there. But they are NGOs, non-government organizations, and these are ran strictly by the private people. Okay, here comes your first one that I'm just going to throw out there. One of them is the Salvation Army. And you thought they were just the little red kettles around Christmas time. Salvation Army was started by an individual in London just seeking to help people. Okay? No government agency, just a person that cares. This is William Booth. And he had a passion to help the people of London. Again, here is an example of how two people, Booth and his wife, who cared so much for people, they sought to make an impact on people's lives. And the Salvation Army continues to help people without consideration of background. The only qualifier is they need. Now, I attend a Methodist church. I know the Methodist church is revving up to help them. Okay, that's two. My daughter assures me that Catholic Charities is ready. Whenever you start naming names, you always leave somebody out. In America, in the last half of the 19th century, was started what was called the settlement house movement. Now, the whole point of the movement was to train immigrants so that they could be successful here in America, not thrown into a camp where they wait for months, but learn the language, learn a skill. But this was done not by the government, but by people like Jane Addams, here pictured, who had a passion to help people. Addams's whole house became the center of lives for the immigrants in Chicago. Dances were held. Child care, free of charge, was provided. The funding for these came from people like Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller. It was part of the social gospel movement. God gave much to these men. And so they felt the necessity to take care of the less fortunate. There's not a reason to build artificial barriers to protect ourselves. People have the right to live wherever they choose. This has always been in America. Should this group or that group be allowed in? Let's look again at the libertarian platform. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this. We've been through it once. I do want to point out right there in the middle, though, economic freedom demands the unrestricted movement of human as well as financial capital across national borders. You know, I have always thought that the best idea, the best concept was that of Ellis and Angel Island. Immigrants would come in and they would go out as they wish. So we know who it is that's coming and going. And we have some kind of a legally enforced entry point. And our economy must be strong to accommodate them. Okay? At these places, people would receive health care, if necessary, job access, if necessary, and education into life in America. Things like the minimum wage. Oh, you come from a country where you make $2 a day? I'll tell you what, I'll give you $10 for working 14 hours here out in the field. This way, no. Minimum wage is, and you will pay me. Okay? They at least know. It's different in their home country. Okay? They had no OSHA regulations. No, aren't you supposed to have some kind of a screen on this machine? No, they would know these things. Okay? At least then, people would have a chance here. Okay? In other words, recreate the settlement house movement. The other possibility would be go there and build legally safe zones where people can live, work, eat, sleep, educate their children, free from any harm. It would require strict regulation of all entry points. Hello, Captain Kirk. And it would also have to be a no-fly zone. Now, folks, this whole thing is a problem because politicians and political parties want to use it to win elections. They don't really care if these people get taken care of. As a matter of fact, they prefer the question not get answered. They would lose a talking point. Now, I'm not going to attack Barack Obama, George Bush, Donald Trump on this, or anyone else. The problem is we, the people, need to take the leadership role and make sure these refugees are taken care of. Since the government refuses to take care of them, then we must look elsewhere. Government isn't good or bad simply because whoever's in office has an initial after their name. You know, Brownback's not bad because he has an R after his name. Obama's not bad because he has a D after his name. You know, that's not the way it is. If we take control of this situation, then that allows the government to handle the things which we created it to do. Infrastructure. Have you looked at our infrastructure lately? Protect us from all enemies, foreign and domestic. We need to change our concept of government to one that really appropriately cares. Well, friends, that's the first show. Let me know what you think. Okay? If you haven't paid attention lately, this is an election year and much is at stake. If you are a diehard voter for a party, I would like to have you reconsider and vote for the person instead of the party. And if you believe that this country needs a third party, well, folks, let me introduce you to the Libertarian Party. We meet at Mocha South, 10 a.m., the first Saturday of each month. You are certainly welcome to come and join us. One quick thing I want to slide in here. Before God rained everybody out on the earth in Noah's day, Noah built an ark, brought people in. Okay. Just want to throw that out there to you. And that's the way it is. January 14th, 2016, yes. This is Mike Trout. May God bless.